Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm meadsy69. Welcome back to the channel. Now, this tank surely can't be good. It is the tier 8 American Pershing. Surely it can't be good. I've been saying for a long time that this tank is absolutely poor. It doesn't perform well, no one plays it very well, and it's just a meh tank. Well, Wargaming buffed the tank, and how did they buff it? They buffed the reload of the tank. 5.1 seconds on its reload. Has it made the difference? Yes, it 100% has made a difference on the tank. It has been given over 400 better DPM. Now, what does that mean? That means it can brawl a lot easier with other medium tanks in tier 8. Before, it had nothing really going for it. It can bounce on the turret, but other than that, it didn't really have the DPM, didn't really have the speed, and it didn't have the armor. But now, it's got that. It's got the DPM that it needed to compete with other medium tanks in tier 8 and tier 9 and tier 7, and it really can perform well. Now, I took it out just for one battle. This is my first battle in the tank, just to see how the tank performs. Now, we was easily able to take care of the T-34 there, and now we wanted to go up here, but then we realized, nah, I'm gonna be on my own. So I just sort of back up a bit, and I wanted to get behind these heavies, but I know I need to be quick because the tanks are coming around. The medium and the light tank are coming around, but at the moment they are capping C. But I am spotted, so I do just want to get out of there. I'm just seeing what I could do with this VK45. Can't really do anything, so I'm just gonna go on. Now, that was probably a mistake for me, to be honest, in stopping to try and aim for that tank. But now the Tiger 2's there. I want to run away, but I don't want to run away, if you know what I mean. I want to stay put to see what tanks come around here. We are winning, and I really want to take care of these guys. Now, you can see here the Pershing, the T28, the Super Pershing. Now, I'm on already half hit points, but my reload is better than his now. I think it's only just better, not by much, but he does have the armor profile over me. Now, luckily, I'm going to ignore him for now and go for the T71 because he was a one-shot. And yes, we are now a one-shot, but I'm just going to try and get close to him. I'm going to try and angle, and we do manage to get that bounce. So we've only bounced that one shot from this guy, but this tank now, it's not about the armor. It's not about the speed. It is about that DPM. An extra 400 DPM for this tank is really what it needed. And not all tanks need armor, not all tanks need DPM, and not all tanks need speed. But as long as they've got one of them, then you can perform really well. You can have a fast tank with slow DPM and no armor, of course, because you can get around the map very quickly. You can have a tank with armor, but it can have low DPM, but then it's going to bounce a lot. So DPM for me is probably one of my favorite things. I'd prefer DPM over armor, and I'd probably prefer DPM over speed, if I'm honest. And now the Pershing's got that, so I'm glad Wargaming decided to buff the Pershing, because it was a needed buff. It really did need this buff, and it's playable again. It really is playable, and people can enjoy the grind. I don't think people are still going to play it just to play the tank now, but I still think if people are grinding this line, that they can actually have a little bit of fun playing the tank and grinding it, and it's not going to be stressful or as stressful as it was before it got buffed. And on top of that, you're probably gonna be able to play the tank without using free XP or to grind up the line a lot quicker. In fact, it is fun. It is such a fun tank. Not the most fun tank to play, but just that buff alone. And like I said, it has made all the difference. And I do enjoy it playing this tank now. And we've already, since the buff, we've already received quite a few replays of people doing well in the tank. So we're going to watch this replay here. He does get very lucky, and again, DPM is everything now with this tank. So he's got tanks all around. Of course, he's going to go for the Peugeot here, puts him on fire. His Peugeot is dead, so it's now a 5 versus 6. The Peugeot on the enemy team does run away, and now the 2 tanks run away, leaving this Eagle on his own. So I thought he was going to take take out the Eagle, but the IS-5 takes out the Eagle, and then he can now chase the Pershing on the enemy team. So do you run calibrated shells or the rammer? Again, it is totally up to you. I honestly run the rammer just to give it that extra DPM. But you can really run it with whatever you want. You can run it with calibrated shells, or you can run it with the rammer. Like I said, I just prefer the rammer for that DPM. So 1.8k damage at the moment. It is a 4 versus 4. Nothing too spectacular at the moment. 2.3k damage, and unfortunately he does get put on fire. He needs to be careful of them tanks. I know he's trying to use the rock as cover, but he was just tunneled there into the one tank. Now the VK45 there, the VK4503, it is a tier 7 tank, but that also has great DPM for what it is. It is a heavy, but it has no armor, but it does have that DPM. So he needs to be very careful of that tank with that DPM. So just the Pershing here now. Unfortunately he does bounce, but he's on 3.2k damage, and it is now a 2 versus 3. And again, with this DPM, with the reload, he wouldn't be able to get half of these shots. That shot right there, he wouldn't have been able to get if it wasn't for the buff. Again, he takes a shot there. Unfortunately, he does only miss, but again, he wouldn't be able to take that shot there before this tank got buffed, because of the DPM just wasn't good enough. It wasn't bad, but it just wasn't good enough to compete with other tanks around this around the tiers that this tank is. So 4.1k damage now. He gets a lucky bounce from the VK45. Now he is still playing it very risky in reversing up. I don't know if he realizes just how good the reload of that VK45 is. Like, it's what, 5 seconds, something like that, the reload on the VK45. It's crazy, the VK45, the reload on that. So he does need to be careful not to get too cocky and then get taken out by that guy, because it will be game over. But as I've said, 4.5k damage now. He's managed to block 950, which is what I said at the start of the video. Like, you can block shots from this in this tank, but you can't really rely on the armor of this tank. It is now all about the DPM, and I think 5.1 seconds for a tank like this is very, very good. So just 2 tanks now. The VK45, the RU251 is dealing with him, and he's just going to try and keep this Emil where he is, away from the RU251. And at least there, we know both of these tanks don't have really the hit points to deal with this guy, but if one's got either side, of course the Emil can only look in one direction. So as soon as he turns, then the other tank can focus him and just whittle him down, his hit points down slowly. Now they are going to wait for him to reload, and then he is going to start pushing. So I think that Emil is on a reload now, so he's going to get the shot here. Unfortunately, again, it is yet again another bounce, but again, that's not the tank, that's more him not aiming properly. But nevertheless, a fantastic game in a tank that I thought I would never ever call a good tank. But if you haven't played the Pershing, go play it. It's what, 2,400 DPM now. Very, very good. It wasn't even, it was around 2,000 before, or 1,900, something like that. So I'm glad Wargaming decided to buff this tank. They have made it much better, and I hope you guys enjoy the tank as well. Let me know your thoughts on the tank after the buff. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm Meadsy. I'll catch you all soon. Bye bye. With